Chapter 1. Eating Healthy. How many times has someone said to you, "You are what you eat," or "Clean your plate, there are starving children in Africa"? Parents have been repeating these phrases to their kids for decades, in hopes of getting picky eaters to eat healthier foods. Unfortunately for these parents, I have never heard of a child who suddenly ate every bite of spinach because there was a hungry child in another part of the world. Not to mention that babies and toddlers don't even understand what starving is, and that's not a conversation you want to have at this age. As for "you are what you eat," what child isn't going to choose to be a brownie over a carrot? What if I told you there was a much easier way? What if I said you can give your child what he wants to eat, aka brownies and cookies, but you know that he is really eating the healthy foods you want him to eat? It is possible. I wish I had discovered this lesson much sooner than I did. It could have saved my family from a lot of food struggles over whether or not my children were going to eat their vegetables. I've even been known to bribe them with dessert. Here's what led to this discovery. When my daughter was around 6 months old, I started her on baby food. Even then, she was very picky about what she ate. My son, on the other hand, would eat any kind of fruit or vegetable baby food I put in front of him, until he started solid food. By a year old, they both developed a taste for certain foods, and nothing else would do. I thought I had done everything right. I had introduced vegetables before fruit, and I mixed up what they were eating so that they would get a taste for a variety of healthy foods. But now, I had a son who would only eat blueberries and peaches, no vegetables, and a daughter who would only eat green beans and corn, no fruit. If I could successfully get a spoonful of fruit and a couple of green beans into both of their tummies, I felt like I had done my job as a parent that day. Climbing Mount Everest seemed easier than getting my children to eat healthy. They were both sick a lot, and I knew that what you eat has a huge effect on your health. So I set out on a mission to make over my kids' eating habits. Then one day, while browsing online for ideas on healthy eating, I came across a cookbook that promised to show me how to add fruits and vegetables into my children's food without them even noticing. What a difference that book made in my life. It taught me all about blending fruits and vegetables to stick in my kids' meals. It even had recipes for brownies and tacos, which is in my son's top 5 list of favorite foods, chocolate cookies, and macaroni and cheese. When I scanned the recipes, I admit it, I was in shock. I had always believed that in order to make my kids healthy, I was going to have to retrain them to think of their favorite foods as yucky, and things like cucumbers and carrots as yummy. Now this lady was telling me that I could give them their favorite foods, watch them gobble them down, and laugh like a lunatic in the background because I knew they were secretly eating their vegetables. I was in disbelief. Could it really be this easy? If so, mealtime would be a totally different experience every day. Even though I was skeptical, I had to give it a shot. So I started with chocolate pancakes. According to the recipe, I could hide spinach in them. I dumped a can of spinach in a blender, but I can be a bit impatient in the kitchen. I don't like to cook anything that takes more than 10 minutes to prepare, and the less mess, the better. So I didn't quite blend it long enough, and I could still see long strings of spinach in the mix. But I decided that no one would notice. Don't ask what I was thinking, I have no idea. So I quit blending and moved on to the next step. The pancakes smelled delicious, but I have never been a fan of pancakes, so I made my husband be the guinea pig and try them before I served them to the kids. He raved about how delicious they smelled, then he bit into one. One of the long pieces of spinach hung out of his mouth. Now, I'm not sure if anyone else has ever tried a combination of chocolate and spinach, but if my husband's face is any indication of what it tastes like, I'll pass. I was frustrated with myself. Here I was on a mission, and I had failed the first time. For some people, this would be the kick in the pants they need to get up and try harder. For me, it was just the excuse I needed to put away my cookbook, throw in the towel, and fight another battle over whether or not my children would eat another green bean. But a strange thing happened that prevented the inevitable green bean battle from taking place. Just as I was about to throw away the rest of my mixture— yes, I should have just turned the blender back on, but that didn't cross my mind— my husband informed me that had it not been for the long, stringy thing in his pancake, it would have been delicious. He may even have asked for seconds, instead of throwing away what was on his plate out of fear that there may be more lurking in there. That was the push I needed. I whipped up another batch of blended spinach and started fresh. The kids went nuts over them. My husband was a little iffy to try them just then, but years later, when the taste of chocolate spinach was forgotten, he too fell in love with them. Every day for years now, my kids have looked forward to their pancakes. Once I assumed that they would probably like a change of pace, and I made something else for breakfast. Both kids demanded to know where their pancakes were. It's not just the pancakes, which are such a hit in my house, though. I could name countless recipes that I have made with vegetables inside, and no one ever suspected a thing. Many times I chose recipes that they were already fond of and added blended veggies to them. They ate them better with the vegetables hidden inside than they did when there were none. Some experts claim that eating meals with hidden vegetables is not a wise choice, since children need to get a taste for them and want to eat them on their own. They believe that if they don't, then they won't want to eat them as adults. Others claim that your body knows the veggies are there, whether they are or are not visible on a child's plate, and your child will grow to get a taste for them. Maybe even to the point where he is asking for them on his own. I'm crossing my fingers and dreaming of the day that my children look up and ask me for a plate of carrots or broccoli. I can imagine a tear in my eye as I profoundly hand them a plate and watch them eat away. I'm sure you're dreaming of the same thing. But until that day, in my opinion, pureeing is the best option. After you've been following recipes like the ones in the book I read, you can play mad scientist in your own kitchen and experiment with what works best for your family. I have found that squash can be mixed into just about anything without being detected. On really crazy mornings, when I just don't have time to make homemade super healthy pancakes, I've even been known to mix together instant pancake mix. Squash that's been pureed first, applesauce water, and either ground flaxseed or wheat germ. The kids love it, and although it's not as healthy as some of the other recipes you can find, it will start your kids' day with a dose of fruit, veggies, and fiber. Another recipe that my husband and I have concocted together that is a huge hit is a very healthy and fast pizza. Start with a powder pizza crust mix, add in water, and let the dough raise for about 10 minutes. Next, add in wheat germ or flaxseed. Both are good sources of fiber. Garlic powder, garlic is a natural antibiotic, and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Knead it together and roll it out on a pizza pan. Next, mix together a half cup of blended cauliflower. Always boil it first until it is tender. Blended zucchini, blended carrots, canned carrots are fine, just drain most of the water off of it. And sweet potatoes. Again, canned is fine, just drain most of the water. It's a good idea to blend these separately and save them in plastic containers or in sandwich bags in the freezer for future use. All of these mixtures will be great in other recipes, and as you get more and more used to cooking this way, you will find lots of uses for them. Mix your new concoction together with pizza sauce. For most people, half a cup is not noticeable, but it is still a good idea to taste test before using just in case. If you can taste something off in your sauce, if it tastes any different than it usually does, just add more pizza sauce until you can't taste anything different. Now, spread the pizza sauce across the crust and sprinkle low-fat mozzarella cheese across it. Sprinkle a light dusting of Parmesan cheese across the top. Parmesan cheese is a great source of protein. And finish up by adding your favorite toppings. Sometimes you can even get away with dusting a little bit of wheat germ or ground flaxseed across the top too. This recipe also works well for kids who prefer cheese sticks instead of pizza. Just omit the pizza sauce and vegetables. It's still a great source of protein and fiber. Finally, bake as directed according to the package directions. If time is an issue, you can use whole wheat pre-made pizza crust instead. I make this healthy pizza once every couple of weeks for my kids' lunch, and it's gone in no time. On days when they have no school, we spread a blanket on the floor or outside, depending on the weather, and have ourselves a picnic. Not only am I getting them to eat a very healthy meal, but I'm also getting a chance to spend some quality time with them. And what better way to get them to open up and talk than by having a picnic?